We go through a lot in Nigeria, surviving as
We
voiceover
do.
artists,
Yeah.
trying to convince clients that the prices are worth it.
If you use a really expensive mic and you don't have mic technique, you're still going to sound crappy.
Focusrite is literally known for producing great audio interfaces.
For the first 2 years after I became a full-time voiceover artist, I was still using my Scarlett, and people were always so shocked when they found out.
From what I have seen so far, if you don't have a brand presence that people know or respect, it's usually hard for you to convince a client that this is the amount that you are going to collect.
There's a brand presence you have to have for people to actually respect your rates without second guessing it. I detest, I loathe, I abhor, I hate generators. It is noise pollution, environmental pollution. I think they shouldn't exist. I hate them so much. I had to get that off my chest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I thought we're maintaining the kids next door energy.
Kids next door. Kids next door. 5, 4. No, that was Johnny Bravo. No, not Johnny Bravo. Jimmy Neutron also does 5, 4, 3 countdown stuff before the
To be
beginning
honest,
of his.
my childhood, I cannot remember Jimmy Neutron. I know I watched it, but I cannot remember for the
Jimmy
life
Neutron is
of
one of
me.
those. Jimmy Neutron is Nickelodeon's geek smart boy. The same thing like Dexter was for Cartoon Network, right? Dexter Laboratory. Yeah. So
yeah.
Jimmy Neutron was a smart boy for Nickelodeon, and Jimmy was really cool. It was a 3D.
You know another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Megas XLR.
Oh my god! I watched Megas and I was like,
Look,
why is nobody talking about Megas XLR?
I know.
That was the coolest thing to me. Like, I didn't care about Transformers. I didn't care about even Voltron. Voltron was like,
I'm trying to remember the theme song.
I really cannot even remember right now.
Yes.
But Megas XLR.
It's big, yeah. Giant robots, giant robot car. Nice.
I remember. Yeah,
Epic
I remember.
stuff.
Like, I wish I could just go onto the internet right now, just die. Big the giant robot, giant robot, stuff like that. Oh my god, we're so old throwback stuff, nostalgia, and just
Honestly.
remembering our childhood cartoons. By the way, I mean, of course, we've got Ace Wonders here. You want to tell us? What were the cartoons you watched growing up? Sarah is looking for it. Yeah.
No way. Which Barbie was your favorite? I agree.
And I don't
T-code,
belong in this
why is your
WhatsApp
mouth like that? Why contorting your mouth like that? But wait. What Barbie did you like? Let me know if we're still on the same page. What Barbie did you like? Your head is there. Barbie Marmadia.
Wow.
When she traded her wings for a tail to go save her friend.
Oh my god.
Princess and the Pauper. Yeah, see, we had some good stuff growing up.
Oh my
The
god.
next generation, I'm just looking at cartoons and I'm like, well, but we're changing that. We get to be a part of the future cartoon, so I think we're changing that.
Okay. Sarah still want to play.
Sorry, I saw it and I couldn't resist the urge to play it.
Play.
How about you, T-Code? What was your favorite cartoon growing up?
You just mentioned Megas XLR.
Oh, was Megas?
Like, I loved. No, Megas wasn't exactly my favorite. I had a couple.
So nobody
of them,
watched
I'm not even sure.
Bakugan?
Man, wait. That was like that guy that
Bakugan,
throws
bro!
something and it turns to something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you
watched
throw
it.
the
like yeah, and I watched that. There was Samurai Jack. Like, come on.
Yes, Captain Jack. That
Samurai Jack.
That was the lyric. Can you imagine? See, all my life I've been saying Captain Jack.
Get to the right, Samurai Jack. Like, cool.
Do you know? Here's a random fun fact. Did you know that
Yeah.
Samurai Jack is voiced by a black person?
You told me that one before, so I know.
Yeah, okay, yes, I've told you that before.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
listening and you don't know, it's actually voiced. If you're thinking like you loved Samurai Jack as a kid, I'm gonna blow your mind. It was voiced by Phil Lamar, the legendary Phil Lamar. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's also the voice of Green Lantern and a bunch of other cartoons, both really popular cartoons. And he's also an actor. Yeah. So
course,
if you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino movies and you've seen Pulp Fiction, Phil Lamar I think he played the role Mavis. Yeah, a black kid that got shot in Pulp Fiction. Sorry, spoiler. But yeah, that's Phil Lamar, in case you're wondering.
Like, that was like a good throwback. Before
know.
Captain and before Samurai Jack, I knew Samurai X. Now that one's like
I didn't watch that one.
anime. That was like my first introduction to anime, but it didn't last long. But anyways, we can go on and on and on. Starting from, I like Powerpuff Girls too. Funny enough,
Ed,
that
and
was an
Eddie.
era of. Yeah, that was an
The
era
Life
of
and Times of Juniper Lee. My gym partner is a monkey.
Whoa!
Camp Laszlo.
Whoa!
Look, I'm a Cartoon Network kid, okay?
Oh my god! These were the cartoons of that era. Come on! You're just bringing it to my brain right now. Like, I can't remember.
Let me see, which other ones can I remember?
My life as a teenage robot.
Atomic Betty.
Do I remember that one? I'm not sure.
Did you? Yeah, My Life as a Teenage Robot. Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls, yeah, definitely. There are just a lot of them.
Like, we had good
Just a lot of them.
shows. We had really good
There's
shows.
this one, something and his imaginary friend, something like that.
Yeah, Foster's Home for
Foster's
Imaginary
Home
Friends.
for Imaginary
Of
Friends.
imaginary,
yeah.
of imaginary friends. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, when Cartoon Network had that like really big break of giving us really great shows, I think was Secret Saturdays on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon.
I
Can't
don't
quite
remember. I didn't know which. But Nickelodeon 2 was like so fire. I remember Hey
Yeah.
Arnold. before they stopped showing
I think
Hey
it was
Arnold.
growing from Cartoon Network into Nickelodeon.
And then Nickelodeon
Oh, yeah.
would give you like those sitcoms. Like you had Amanda
Victorious,
Show.
Big Time Rush, iCarly, Sam and Cat.
Oh my god, iCarly is like classic. Like, come on. See, before we get everybody lost on what we need to like get to the.
Now, I doubt if you're listening to this podcast and like you're in the right place, I doubt you'd be lost.
Yeah, true though, because our conversation for today is all about voiceover and animation, the intersection, right?
Yes,
Coming from
absolutely.
Nigerian voice actors who now do animation voiceovers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a good way to start the conversation, and I hope that in some decades to come, if people are going to have to talk about animation in Nigeria and in Africa, we would have enough African animation references. Yeah, like that's a dream come true for me, if which I hope it happens.
That's why working on Iyanu has been such a dream come true for me, because I grew up watching Cartoon Network cartoons, and then to be in one that gets to be on Cartoon Network. So I guess you've also been wondering when Iyanu gets to come out. Expect it in spring next year, which is between April and June, right?
I just remember the wildest cartoon right now.
Which one?
I don't know
Cow and
if
Chicken?
you watched it. No, not even Cow and Chicken. Cow and Chicken was very funny though. Did you know any cartoon called Wacky
Very
Razors?
wild. No, I didn't. I don't. I
Oh my
don't.
God. So Wacky
Did you guys see
Razor-
Courage and the
what-
Cowardly Dog?
Oh my, come on, Courage.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off. Please continue with Wacky Racers. You're saying something about Wacky
Courage
Racers.
was so funny. But Wacky Razors was like, imagine Cartoon Network put all of their cartoons and dumped them into one particular cartoon, and everybody had their own unique cars. So Dexter could create a car
wow.
that like looked like him, and everybody. So they were all racing, and they will now use their personalities to cheat on each other, to like hate each other. It's very, very funny, very interesting cartoon.
For some reason, that makes me remember Sub Chucky Chuck. Chop Sucky Chucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard of
Did
that
you-
one.
did you
But
see
shout
that
out
one?
to whoever is right behind you. I never
Oh
saw
yeah,
it.
so
I don't
so
think
I have my intern around, and he's just like, if you've been hearing background music, like that's
Yeah.
him. He's the one that reminded me
Wow.
of Mega XLR theme
Mega
song.
Sex,
They've come say hi to the camera.
Hi. Wow. It's such a cartoon nerd.
Yeah,
Anyway,
see,
guys,
I
yeah.
mean, how do you get to work in a voiceover studio and you're not?
Except if you're growing up like me so fast. I don't know. But I think I get to work too much to... Man, anyway. But I still enjoy some of the cartoons. Or maybe just
Aw.
Cartoon Network, we outgrew Cartoon Network and the rest. Or maybe cable is not a thing in this
I really
generation.
feel like the nature of the shows changed. I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
But
You've got
then
a
that
point.
you still have a point. It could be that we outgrew them, because you see some of the cartoons that are there now and you don't relate. And kids that could relate to our cartoons that we're in love with, they're like, huh? Only few actually relate to the cartoons we loved.
Can I tell you a fun fact? I stopped
Yeah.
really following cartoons when Ben 10 started. Like that era of Cartoon Network was evolving from Ben 10 to like, that was like when I started
Like the
shutting down
beginning of Ben 10, the very beginning when he found the Omnitrix.
Yeah. I think the last era of like that period of cartoon, the last cartoon I enjoyed in that era was when Avatar came out, The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
This was like 2010-ish, 2010, 11. And that was when I was going to the university. That was my allegation.
Oh my God, tcode, you're an old man.
Because I got to the university and there was no television.
Oh, okay, that's why
There's
now.
no way I
That's
could
why.
keep up.
And then from that point on, it's like you're just busy
Yeah.
with life, because university is
life.
not the same outside of here.
I was
So
growing
you're just
up.
busy with life. There's no time.
Yeah. And I came back and all the cartoons I was watching that changed. So I was like, oh God, come
Yeah. God,
Man,
where was
mean-
I when Ben 10 started showing? I think I'd rather not say. Let's just proceed into the show.
Shout out to you. I mean, you tried for a Gen Z knowing all of those old cartoons, right?
What do you mean?
I was like, do you know Voltron? You probably know Transformers.
Don't take me back. Don't. What happened? I know say you should take me to the age of dinosaurs now. What happened?
But you know Filmstones, right?
Yes, I know Flintstones.
Yeah, Flintstones.
That was Saturday morning cartoon for me.
that was a good
Flintstones, Tom
one.
and Jerry.
Oh my. They had a lot of cartoons. Anyways, guys,
Justice League.
welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, actually.
Talking about the podcast,
Absolutely.
the one of its kind in Nigeria, the only voiceover podcast we've got here. And tcode here is your host with Sarah Johnson, your co-host. We're both voiceover artists from Nigeria. We do voiceovers for different types of stuff. But in this conversation, more importantly, we do animation voiceovers as well. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode, right? So yeah, welcome. We are supposed to have a guest on the show. I am hoping that he's going to join us again. He is also an animation nerd. As a matter of fact, he has a podcast about comic books, right? And stuff like that. He calls it the Comnerdic podcast. And if you know the Comnerdic podcast, you definitely know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about no other person than Ace Wonders.
Ace Wonders. All
we're
right.
still
So,
hoping- Yeah, go on. Please go on.
I mean, if we want to address the issue, what is giving Ace problems, that's part of what we're going to be talking about today, right?
Sure.
Ace is not here because the network is so terrible, and even I was struggling with that this morning. And we started off, the network didn't allow us to record what we had recorded before. I really sincerely believe that Nigerian internet service providers should be held to higher standards. honestly,
Yeah.
because it is absolutely ridiculous. And in a generation where the world is now a global village and a lot of things are done remotely, the network is costing people opportunities, literally, because I mean, you're working with people outside of the country that do not understand what it's like to still be using 3G, or to have your upload speed be at like maybe 5 or 10 Mbps.
Yeah. Very
They don't understand. They don't understand that kind of reality. So it just seems like, except if they encounter enough Nigerians to know, oh, that's a thing there. It just seems like you're not efficient, or you're not reliable. So it's really something else. And I really feel that if you work with MTN or any of these guys, I am calling them out. But,
Yeah, we really go through a lot. Like,
I'm going
yeah,
through
a
a
lot.
lot.
We really go through a lot
It's
as
so
Nigerians.
embarrassing, to be honest. It's incredibly
Truly.
embarrassing. Imagine having to apologize on behalf of your country that the network is bad.
Do you get? And sometimes, okay, like I recall when I started my career, I was using just my mobile phone to connect to the internet. After a while, I had to switch to MiFi. After a while, I switched to the 4G internet. Now I am using the 5G router from MTN, which supposedly should be the best. Sometime last month, I was having some issues with the MTN router 5G. I went to get the Airtel router 5G as well. And annoying thing is that the prices are just ridiculously high right now. Well, of course, everything is high because of the currency. MTN router, last time I checked, would cost you like 90,000 naira 5G, while the Airtel will cost you 80,000 naira. That's a whole lot. And I think the only place to go from there
It's
is because
Starlink.
where I stay is Starlink, really. Yeah. Like, and Starlink is also very expensive. They recently just increased their subscription, which I'm not a Starlink user, so I can't remember exactly, but I know that it's crazily expensive. So
I almost
it's a
even
lot of
purchased Starlink this weekend, but because of the
you
fact
mentioned,
that,
right?
because of the program that it was supposed to be used with, they don't support satellite internet connections. So I had to let go of it at that point. But to think that, I was just panicking in my head, because I'm like, I can get Starlink, but then the program I'm supposed to use with it is not supported. So I'm just going to have to rely on MTN. And, they disappointed, because I was just out there for over an hour, completely out of reach. I couldn't even drop a message on WhatsApp to let the person I
Wow.
was in a session with know that, oh, look, I'm having issues with my network. It keeps dropping me out. Messages weren't even going through at all. And
Wow.
I'm usually known for being very efficient and reliable. Like, when I tell you 8 a.m., I will be there by 7:45. That's how I am. But I now hate it when factors out of my control come into play and then make me look bad. It is absolutely annoying and
It's really sad.
very, very
There are
sad.
days, there are days that across the country it's just terrible. There are days it's rainfall. There are days. Today I'm even impressed that like we're having this conversation and everything is flowing well, because in the past 1 month it's been a struggle, especially from your end in Abuja, and I don't know what's going on there. But it's sad, and
God help
it's
us.
quite sad.
That's the reason why Ace is still not here.
Yeah, that's the reason why Ace is not here yet. And I am hoping that he's still able to join us. But before he joins, let's talk more about this entire thing of the challenges that we run through. I want us to still talk about animation, but I'm not sure if we should dash into that conversation without Ace, because I know he's
Right.
going to add a lot of context to it too. But I want to use this little opportunity to give a big shout out to every creator out there, especially voiceover artists that are going through these challenges and are still pushing stronger. Do we talk about the power issues too that we face
Tell me
as
about it.
voiceover artists?
Tell me about it.
So let me give a bit of context, right? As a voiceover artist, when you're starting, power might not be a big deal because for the start, you just need to record for some minutes, max an hour or two. So if you have a good computer, a good laptop, that would sustain you for your recording process, and you can also still edit. So on that note, But when you start growing at some point in your career where you start having sessions to record with directors or external people, you need stable power. And Iyanu exposed us to that, me particularly, right? I wouldn't be able to. Normally, I had a generator which I would turn on and charge my laptop, and when I had the session, I would have to record. But the downside is that if you have extended
Generators are
sessions,
loud.
they are loud, so you can't turn
I
them
detest.
on.
Yeah, that's a
The
fun fact.
sound,
I
right?
detest, I loathe, I abhor, I hate generators. It is noise pollution, environmental pollution. I think they shouldn't exist. I hate them so much.
For
I had to get
real,
that off
for
my
real,
chest.
Sarah. I can imagine. So generator wasn't working for me at the time because you see, because of you want to maintain decency in audio quality, you can't have that making noise. I even tried buying extension of wires to get my generator to be far away
Very
from me.
far.
I will still hear it. Luckily for me, one of my neighbor uses solar, right? So they don't own generator, so it doesn't affect me. But me myself, I'm not the one using generator to affect myself. So I had to look for an alternative. So and again, when I am using, already we're talking about the challenges of voiceover artists. So let's just continue, right? If I use my computer to record as well, because everywhere is heated up, and everywhere will be heated up because there is no electricity to power your fan or your AC. Of course, you can use that while the editing session or your recording session is going on. But if you've been able to cool the environment before you start recording, right, you can turn off those appliances and just record and all of that. In my case, I wasn't able to even turn on any of those things, so everywhere will be hot, and my computer then becomes really hot. And to ease out the heat, the fan begins to operate, and the
Yeah,
fan noise is now
it's
noise.
loud.
Do you get it now? So everything still boils down to electricity at the end of the day. So the solution is something that I am proud of the both of us because we've been able to figure it out, even though there's still a lot of more figuring out to do. But we had to upgrade to a solar inverter system. And that has saved me a lot.
Countless times.
Between last year and this year, oh my God. Like,
Like,
do you want to talk about the benefits of having a solar inverter or inverter
the
system?
peace, like the quiet, that's for one. Then two, like I can't count how many times where there's been light, so maybe maybe I just woke up, I'm supposed to have a session by 9, or maybe they brought the light by 6, and then once it's 8:50 something, close to my session time, I'll just see the AC go off. They've taken the lights. And then I'll just go, oh, okay. And then just continue with my session without being affected by the electricity situation. And then sometimes, let's say my session is meant to end by 2. There's no lights till maybe 1. So like imagine I didn't have an inverter throughout that period. That's
Yeah.
gone. Like so I or is it the times where you want to work at nights and then there's no lights? So I think it's as you advance with your career, these are certain investments. If you know you want to do voiceover full time and you're going to be
Yeah.
working with international clients, I think it's definitely an investment that should be made.
Yeah. It's going to save
You
you a
don't
lot of money.
exactly, and you don't even, if you can't afford getting the solar panel initially, you can just opt for maybe a 1.5 kVA inverter with one battery. It's a great start. That way, when your electricity itself comes on, it can charge your inverter. Then as you get money, keep adding money. I think one solar panel is about 100,000 naira now. Just keep buying your solar
Yeah.
panels, small. Keep adding, till you have like 3 or 4 that can conveniently carry you, even if they take the
Yeah.
lights for days at a stretch. And
Yeah.
then when you get small money again, you get another extra battery. So, and just like that, you'll be going off the grid. That off the grid living is very essential for any remote worker, not even just voice artists now.
I agree. And you see what I think this episode, if Ace is not able to join us and we talk about animation, we'll title this episode "Surviving Nigeria as a voiceover artist."
Honestly.
Because why?
Tell me about
you
it.
You just described how I did it for my own. I started with a 1.75 kVA inverter with I think I bought 2 batteries. Yeah, I bought 2 batteries, and I realized that I later learned that one battery would need at least 3 panels. So after using electricity for some time, I then got the first 3 panels, and it was taking me, and then I bought the next 3 panels, and this year it's just fabulous. I've never gone to queue for fuel
because you have that, and then if they go, oh, there's not been light for the past 3 days, that one no concern you or your papa.
If I want to go off the grid, I can. I really can. The only thing is that if electricity is not charging if I go off the grid, then electricity is not going to be available to charge my solar inverter, right? So I get 2 source of power. One is electricity charging my inverter. The other one is sunlight charging my inverter. So again, the point we're making in all of this is that it's as you advance in your career, it gets to a point where you need to invest in this. Also, just the same way it gets to a point where you need to really invest in your studio. And then you mentioned something while you were talking. You're saying these are things that you need to also consider if you're considering being a full-time voiceover artist. I just wanted to mention that I had a conversation with David Atta over the weekend. Yeah, that was on Friday.
Which I was supposed to be a part of. But thanks to Abuja Network at the moment.
Same thing we're talking about. The network,
I'm telling you,
was the reason why you couldn't, be on the
that
IG
day.
live.
I was just looking, like my messages weren't loading. Instagram was buffering. I was just looking like I can't even contact tcode to tell him why I'm not online. And then when the network finally comes back, I'm seeing multiple messages like, "Hi, Sarah, I started the live. David just joined. We're already talking." And I'm like, "Oh no, kill me now."
Right. I'm so sorry about that, man. The internet is just one of those things. And even we have this podcast recorded weekly, shout out to us, man. It's usually very, very, very challenging.
Honestly, something came to my mind, and in case it's another alternative for inverters. Let's say you can't afford an inverter yet. You can start out, I think Oraimo has it and a couple other brands, but I like Oraimo when it comes to anything that gives power, right? So they have this power, let me call it power bank for lack of a better word, for charging. For charging laptops. I think it's about 150 or 200 grand. You can get it. So you just need to plug that up, and I think it requires charging for about 5 or 6 hours, and it can charge your laptop from ground up 4 times.
And that's beautiful.
So if you can't, so if you're able to plug your power, your interface into your laptop and everything else to your laptop, you can now use that to power your laptop. So that's also a thing. And you can use it to power your phone at the same time. So I think it's an option worth getting if you can't afford an inverter yet, because inverters go from about like 500,000 now.
Yeah.
Right, Tico?
I'm going to, in fact, thank God, like some days ago, I reached out to my guy who supplied my inverter, and he gave me some price. some prices.
Ah.
But the fact is, this is a podcast. The price may not be the same at the time you're listening to this. That's
Yeah,
if you're
this I
listening to
am
this.
listening, especially in
Sure.
Nigeria. Spaghetti was
Yeah.
1,000 last 2 months. So go figure.
Yeah. But anyways, for the sake of the conversation, I'm just gonna like check what he gave as a prize. So it was like the inverter itself, yeah, is about okay, a battery. Let's even start because batteries are usually also expensive. So the battery, he said around 275,000 naira. That's for one
Jesus,
battery.
a
Like,
battery is now 275.
yeah.
Oh
And
wow,
that's
that's
like
crazy.
the 220 amps
Mm-hmm.
battery, right? And then the inverter itself, depending on how much you want to scale or how little you want to go. So if it's like a one battery system, the inverter itself can be like 75k to 100k. Then there's the charge controller. I'm not a technician, guys, but all of this put together was almost 500k. It was like around 400 and something, 450 to
Wow, and that's
470.
like 1 kVA. Is that 1 kVA?
Yeah, I think is 1.5.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Yeah.
Does this have
So
solar panels?
no, so
Ah,
no
okay.
solar
I
panels.
wanted to say,
But
where is he? Let me buy
no solar.
again.
It's
Because that would have
it's
been
just a
crazy cheap.
it's just a one
A
battery
one
system.
battery
That's
system.
the cheapest you
Okay.
can get.
Yeah, actually,
Um,
that's the cheapest you can get.
yeah, So the point, like one panel is going to go for around between 85 to 100 to 120k, depending on the supplier, the amount of watts that is going to capture and stuff like that. So it's a lot. But anyways, let's talk about. We're just talking about saving power or
Yeah, and
efficiency.
options.
Yeah. Do you know that? I use a MacBook Pro 2020. So do you know that I bought? Let me see. This my power bank is an Oraimo power bank, and this power bank is a 30,000 mAh, right? Do you know that this power bank can charge my laptop?
Are you for real?
This guy, for real, for
Wow.
real.
I
I
didn't
mean,
know
they
that.
don't even market it as power bank that charges laptop. And I've tried using other power banks to charge laptop. It doesn't work. So these dudes, and
Ah.
I just bought it. I was just like, let me just buy it. I of course already own solar, so it's not like. But for the sake of when I'm traveling, I just want to charge my iPhone and the other one. And I tested it one day and it worked, and I was like, wow. So I felt so because when I
I'm sure it felt
travel,
like such a huge discovery.
you get. So when I travel, I can always charge my laptop. I can, but of course, I doubt if this will not charge other laptops. The MacBook
Yeah, I think
Pro.
it's also because of the ports, the charging ports, and
Yeah,
what
the
the
charging
charger looks like, the
port.
USB-C system.
Yeah, yeah. So that helps. And really, if you want to, for the sake of power efficiency, I don't know. I've used a couple of laptops. MacBook beats the others when it comes to power. Like these
Yep,
things
you can
last.
say that again.
I can have my laptop on for 6 hours straight without and the charging is very fast. So if you can afford to get a MacBook, I would advise, and
Not to
if you
talk
can,
of the range of softwares it gives you when you're using a
yeah,
Mac. Because when you're using a Mac, you have access to GarageBand, Logic, as well as other software that get to work on non-Apple products.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you absolutely. So we're just talking about surviving Nigeria as voice actors. What other thing? Let's talk about how we've been able to deal with noise around us. Of course, we've been talking about generator to inverter. What other things have you? Do you know? For me, right? I knew early on that one of the things that would constitute noise would be having a pet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to pet owners, and I may be wrong because I don't have one. But
I have one.
But you don't keep him in your
But
space.
even when he was
you?
at my place, he didn't used to make noise. Well, I think it depends on the type of dog you have.
Yeah.
My dogs are Lhasa Apso, so they don't make noise. They're pretty
My neighbor's dog. Person just
That's
pass
probably a Caucasian
road
that is a security dog.
You get so that thing. Every time I remember one time during our recording sessions with Paula. See, when it's time for that session, I'll just beg my brother, just take that dog on a walk. Just go far because I need sanity. So yeah, there are times that we're recording podcasts and it backs and I'm like, oh, it started again. But yeah, that's
for my dog. I just go and lock him up inside the rooms to avoid stories that touch. Like I'd keep him with my cousin in the room and say, you know what, I'm about to have a session. Just hold him. I know he doesn't make noise, but just in case someone knocks on the door so he doesn't start barking, just hold him.
Yeah, yeah. And you know the interesting thing about
my girl, she doesn't even make noise. She's just quiet, just in her corner.
Oh, that's really cool. I decided that if I'm not going to get pets, I'm going to get plants. So I started buying plants in my house just to have that feeling of I'm taking care of something, you know. But yeah, I don't have that. I don't have the energy for dogs, right? Like it's a lot of but they're cute animals.
It is a lot of. But they're not easy to raise, and it's like a 15-year commitment till the Lord calls them home.
My dear, so I don't have the energy right now. But shout out to dog owners, pet owners, cat owners too. You know.
Thank you. It's not easy. We try. And
shout out to us, plant owners. They don't make noise. They don't disturb. Yeah. I was talking about noise control, right? I also wanted to mention that the fact that we have to have everywhere quiet before we record, it makes it such that we hear every whisper, every footstep,
everything, even clothes ruffles. We get to hear them.
Yeah. So
that's why you'd be advised to. Sorry, go on.
Go on. No, go on.
I was saying that. That's why you'd be advised to take off jewelry, your necklace, your earrings, you shouldn't wear clothes that when they rub together they make noise, like maybe nylon or a leather or even sometimes even silk. You'd be amazed. Because as long as it rubs together, it's going to make noise.
Yeah. Fun fact, right? I can't remember the episode of the podcast I was listening to. It's a voiceover podcast, and this guest was saying that I don't know what these clothes are called, but those clothes that you wear to the gym, they're more efficient for you when you're recording in the studio. Because they don't make noise like that, and they're built in such a way that they can. I don't know if it's not like
it can't make noise when it's glued to your body.
Yes, and they do well with heat and sweat, and there's just the way gym wears are built, right? So it's not like going to make you feel too hot.
Now that explains a lot. So a lot of times, I'm not proud to say it, but a lot of times when I come back from the gym, something brings me inside the studio. And I just find myself in the studio till like 4 p.m. and I'm still in gym clothes. I'm still in the clothes I came back from the gym with, and I'm like, oh, it's 4. Okay, let's just go have our bath now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the way my studio is built, 2 days can pass and you won't know. Because you won't know what time of day it is.
Actually, that is how studios are supposed to be. Like that is a sign of a good studio. A good studio is supposed to be like a life away from normal life. Like when you're in a good studio, you don't necessarily know what time of the day it is outside. You don't know if it's raining. You don't know if it's sunny.
Yep.
You don't know, like you are away from the outside world. So that's the idea. It's supposed to isolate you. The only thing you're going to be doing in the studio is that craft. So if you're in a dance studio, if you're in a voiceover studio, a music recording studio, the idea is that you are as isolated as possible and you don't know what it is. So that's a sign of it. But if you're in a studio where you can tell it's afternoon, it's evening, by seeing things outside, that's distraction. That's not what a studio is
Aside
built
from
for,
even
right?
distraction, as long as you can even see stuff, that means you can hear stuff. So noise is definitely going to come in.
Yeah, although their studios also
Except
built,
you're using
with
glass.
Yeah, and that's for the sake of communication with
Yeah.
the producers or other people involved in the recording session. But properly, you shouldn't even be able to hear that it's raining outside or something like that. But we're still working on that, because in my own, if it's raining, I will know. So
I think, because of how heavy the rains are, where I am presently, the roof is flat. So although when it rains, I don't hear it, except it's like really, really, and I'm talking like take the roof off your building kind of heavy, like when it's really heavy. Yeah, I've had occasions like that, but most times when it just rains, I don't get to hear it. So speaking of this noise issue, before I got to this studio, in my very first studio, which was my parents' balcony, which I converted, there's a mosque right in front of my house. So every time they call for prayers, I had to stop all recording. Now imagine that I think I was still there when I started recording for Yano. So I had to, when I was taking my availability schedule, I had to say I would not be available in the times left out for prayer.
Yeah.
I had to take out times for prayer and take unavailable, because I didn't want to have a situation where we'd be in session and then prayer starts getting called and I'm like, okay, so I have to bounce now, so they just arranged the schedule accordingly. But for other recordings, it just didn't work. And during Ramadan, oh my God, that is when it was crazy. It was crazy during every Ramadan. Because they would start praying during the day. There's also an office not far from my house. So early in the morning, you're having people drive up to work. That's after prayers have ended. You're now having people park, horn at each other, honk their horns, do whatever it is they're doing, Then after that, you now get to now deal with. My God, it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant. I think that's when I also really got good with my engineering, because I had to find a way to kill the noise, even though there was. I had to find a way to kill noise.
Oh my God, this reminds me of me looking for options, and then I stumbled on what's the name of this plugin? I don't even use it that much anymore because of course I have good audio, right? But you start thinking of ways to make things effective and better, right? So anyway, so we're still talking isotope. Yeah, that's the isotope RX. I just found it out. So I had to use that, for a while, and I wasn't always satisfied.
Yeah, isotope RX is definitely a plugin you want to get if you deal with a lot of noise, and also so that it can help you with taking out your plosives, your S's, your breaths. It's pretty effective, and you have. I would suggest watching YouTube videos so you're not overdoing it with the noise, and then your voice doesn't start to sound artifacty, or overly digital. So watch YouTube videos on how to handle it, but I think it's such a good option to handle noise.
Yeah, but I mean, we shout out to voiceover artists in Nigeria. We go through a lot. You're talking about mosques, churches as well, schools.
And then we don't even talk about generator. At that time.
There are many things you can't control.
Because now in my house we didn't have a generator, but what would I do to my neighbors? They have generators.
You can't stop them. Which is, do you understand? So just be lucky that you have either understanding neighbors or neighbors who have solar powered, houses, or I don't know, man. So being a voiceover artist in Nigeria is not that easy, because especially when you want to rent an apartment,
there's a lot of noise pollution.
Your first consideration is noise pollution if you are going to rent an apartment that you will build a home studio in. You should not consider building a studio in a place close to the main road. Like, that's a no-no. like a no, 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 no. Except if you can really, really fortify the walls and make it a well padded, studio and all of that. Speaking
And
of
aside that,
surviving night,
sorry,
yeah, okay,
okay.
go on, please. No, I
No,
was
I
going
mean,
to change the
still
topic.
on things to consider.
About that. Yeah.
Still on things
Yeah.
to consider when you're renting an apartment is also, is it modifiable? You have to look at it and look at how modifiable it is for your home studio before you take it. Because imagine renting an apartment and then your landlord is like, please, I don't allow such and such in my house. So now you've paid rent for a house that you cannot use as a studio.
And let me also add to this, right? And I hope that we're able to have any case soon on the pod. I like, how do I put it? You have a studio, but your studio is like an entire room. And my studio is not an entire room. Mine is a 6x6. So it's like, actually, I literally used or converted my dining space in my house to a studio. The point I am making is that it doesn't have to be an entire room. Like, if there is a portion, if there is a section.
Oh, absolutely. I explained that my first studio was just my parents' balcony. I just blocked out the windows. I don't think it was even as big as a 6x6. 6x6. It was pretty tiny.
I have seen top voice actors globally, and their studios are like
some of them don't use
very small.
Very small, because you just need to come in, record, and get out. You know. But I'm a studio rat, and even if I wasn't doing voiceover professionally, I'd still have a studio. I love studios, so for me it was essential. But you don't have to have like a whole room. You can have like a nice long room, even if it's not long. You can always make do, really. If you just, Pinterest is your best friend, and following other voiceover artists and seeing their realities and experiences, that's also another thing that can help. Yeah.
True. And if you can afford to go big, right? Do as long as you can. And
the ways.
And speaking of going big, let's talk about the economic and financial realities of being a voiceover artist. And at this point, we need to talk about money. Like these days, when people ask me, "Hey, tcode, what kind of mic can I buy?" and I say, "What's your budget?" and they say 50K, I'm already heartbroken. Because how do I recommend any mic under 50?
There's no good mic for that at that range. There's no professional, except you just want to use that mic to be practicing at home. And then why do that when you can just be using your phone? I wouldn't recommend any mic within that price range for somebody that's actually interested in doing real voice work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
and to be honest, I know it's sad, but it's something you can save towards, right? Because our venture is quite an expensive venture. With my first studio, what I did was I joined Adjo, right? During my service here. I was saving, contribution.
Contribution, right? Yeah.
Yes. or if you have cooperatives around you that you can join that are trustworthy, you can do that as well. I started with saving 20,000. I started with 20,000 a month and saved for a year. That's how I was able to get my laptop.
That's like 240K at the end of the
day. I was able to. So Naira wasn't so bad. So I was able to get my laptop and a few other. I was able to get an isolation shield. So my very first mic, I was gifted that mic and my interface, right? But even as at that time, the whole bundle was about 200,000. So I could have gotten that still.
That's Focusrite, right?
Yeah, Focusrite Solo. The Scarlett Solo. That was my first interface and my first mic as well. So, and I bought 10,000 Naira headphones from Area 1. You know, so like you can start on a budget. You can. You just need to actually save towards it, because the thing is, I feel like when you buy those cheaper equipment, you think you're saving money, but you're not. You're not. You're just preventing the inevitable. Because if you are really serious about voiceover, you will eventually. Our prayer is that you get bigger gigs. And with bigger gigs, you have to provide better quality of audio. So eventually, you have to get proper microphones. So I think the Audio Technica is one of the best budget mics in the market. The best. You can get an 8020, and if it's not for the dollar, because if you check Amazon for the past 3 years, it's pretty much been the same. It's been $99. It's our currency that keeps shaking it. Right now it costs about 170 something K to get the Audio Technica microphone. Right? So if you can if you can afford to save even more than that 20K per month, say 30,000 naira, and you keep saving, by the end of the year you can get a mic and you can get yourself a small beginner phase sound card. Even if it's not Focusrite, you can get yourself a good solo M audio mic with one input and small headphones.
You meant a good... Okay, you mean the solo M audio bundle or the M audio interface?
The audio interface.
Because you said mic. Yeah. While you were even talking, you just mentioned headphone, and I was like, even headphone, no cheap again.
More, even headphones. My headphones, these are Audio Technica M50s, and at the moment, I think M50X. I got this for
$100 or so. Or $70?
No, it's $100, but in naira, that's like...
That would be like 170-ish.
As at the time I even got it. And then another thing is when I got it was scarce. So I got it for like 160, 170. It was around that range. Yeah. So
now it's going to be over 200.
Tell me about it.
You know, the thing is, of course, there's the shipping fee. There is, if you're also buying it from a vendor here in Nigeria, there's all of that put together. Right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
These things are really expensive. Another way people can cut costs is the solo bundles.
Exactly. Like the Scarlett Solo, which is the type I had.
Yeah.
A Scarlett Solo comes with microphone, headphones. It's even some of them even come with software. And some of them come with mic stands. Some of them come with mic stands. So, yeah, you've just knocked like 5 birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Please carry on, tcode.
Yeah, the mic, the audio interface, and the headphone, and the XLR cable, right? All of that comes, I think, in the solo bundle. So I think a cheaper solo bundle would be the Presonus. They would have slightly cheaper ones. And then there's another bundle of Presonus that literally comes with studio monitors. Like that one, is a big, that's a big deal. But the thing, you see, so from what I have learned and studied so far about companies doing doing studio bundles. I'll give an example. Focusrite is literally known for producing great audio interfaces. So when they say they want to expand to creating bundles, look at it this way: their strength is not mics, their strength is not headphones, their strength is actually the audio interface. So they are outsourcing, in a sense, the production of those things. So the mic you're getting from a Focusrite, combo pack is not as solid as what you'll get from a Rode NT mic, because Rodes are like literally doing mics. Like that's what they're known for. So it's, but then I'm not saying that Focusrite can. Do you know, funny thing is that I have heard people use the Focusrite mic, and I am impressed with the output. I'm like, really? Because I mean, you know that being impressed. That you're like, what's the difference between one and this my 500,000?
So that's where your knowledge of mic technique comes in. I've seen people that use expensive mics that don't know how to set up their mics. Like they don't know mic technique. Do you understand? If you use a really expensive mic and you don't have mic technique, you're still going to sound crappy. For the first 2 years after I became a full-time voiceover artist, I was still using my Scarlett, and people were always so shocked when they found out. So mic technique is very, very important. And then how you now get to work on the post-production of your audio also matters. So it was even way like after that, those first 2 years of using Scarlett, I now upgraded to a Rode, and then I got an Audio Technica too. So I just I'm a mic collector. So I mean,
how many mics do you have now?
I'm sorry, I'm a collector. I have like 4.
Same here.
And I would get more. The next mic I want to get
Same
is a
here.
Townsend. The Townsend mic is also an emulator mic. It can mimic different types of microphones.
Same as the Takstar.
Kind of like, but better than the Takstar. Better.
Me, I want to get so
we shall
I have
discuss
a
it
gist
later.
for you.
Just me. What's going on?
Like last week, over the weekend, I discovered another mic.
What mic is
And
that?
I can't wait to get this mic and test it out.
What mic is that, please?
That's the first time I would see a mic
Neumann?
made by a Nigerian.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a Nigerian brand. It's called
Okay,
the Soke.
okay.
Yeah, the name of the mic is
The what?
Soke A1. Soke, and I'm giving them free publicity here anyway. I don't mind. I mean, I was just so
I mean, we
excited.
gave a lot of we gave a bunch of other brands free publicity.
You get so
might
shout
as
out-
well.
Yeah, shout out to the Soke guys. And I reached out to them on Instagram, letting them know that I'm interested in.
I should totally
getting
check
this
that out.
mic. Yeah, I can't wait to like. But there's a sleekness to the mic. Like it's portable. It's cool. It has its own shock mount. Right? It has that. It's an XLR mic, and I think it's also XLR USB. That's a big deal. They don't put the price of the mic on their Instagram page. You have to send them a DM.
Yeah.
But for the
Why
sake
now?
of
That's such a
voiceover
turn
artists,
off.
I would say it. I don't know if it's against their policy, but of course they can increase their prices later. But I think the price is one of the most interesting thing about the mic. It's
How much?
100,000 naira,
Are you serious?
my dear.
You know
So
what?
when I-
Why don't we should totally see how this works out and recommend it to other voiceover
Yeah.
artists, because that's definitely cheaper than Audio Technica and other mics that you can
It's
get
cheaper
that
than
give
any-
good quality.
Any good quality mic I can think of right now.
Yeah. So
Any
you know what? Let's
condenser.
discuss this.
Definitely. So I hope to get that mic and do a review of the mic and see. I can't wait to recommend it as long as it hits the mark for me. Or even for I mean, of course, there is a mark for starter mics, right? So as long as it's able to hit that mark, it doesn't have to sound as dope as the TLM or whatever, but for an entry level, if it does the job, that's awesome. So I mean, I'm just plugging it out there for voiceover artists who are looking for mics and all of that. Whew, we go through a lot in Nigeria surviving as
We
voiceover
do.
artists.
Yes, we do.
Trying to
Yes, we do.
market our stuff, trying to convince clients that the prices are worth it. You reached out to me over the weekend. I don't know how that conversation later went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're asking me about you wanted to give a quote to a client
Yeah.
about a voiceover gig, but from what I have seen so far, if you don't have a brand presence that people know or respect, it's usually hard for you to like convince a client that this is the amount that that you are going to collect, that you should
The
be
thing
paid.
is, you might be a really good voice actor or a voice artist, right?
Yeah.
But because you
Yeah.
don't have a brand presence, and I mean, it's not really, as much as we all don't really like being online, but there's a brand presence you have to have for people to actually respect your rates,
Yeah.
without second
Yeah.
guessing it.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
for this generation. I mean, the OGs can still get away with that because their work has gone to speak for them,
Yeah.
without even being there. So I think you have to have a brand presence. And if you're not
yeah.
the posting type, right? Let me bring you in on the little secret. Have you tried newsletters?
That's another thing. But then for newsletters to work, you also need an email.
Consistency.
Yeah, but you also need to like have an email. What's it called now?
Email list.
Yeah, an email list, right? And then you
which
have
you
to,
can only gather by being online.
by being online.
So
or
it's
having
like
a
the chicken
website.
before the egg before the chicken before the egg. Yeah. So
I know, right? But it's a lot of work
I
that we're
think it's
putting
something
into
you
this.
should. Yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
but
It is. And I wish
again,
clients would understand, because when you give certain quotes, they're like, why? What happened? I'm like, first of all, the mic I'm using to record your voiceover is like 500K. Let's start there, okay?
mm-hmm.
Let's not talk about how much I spent in setting up the studio. And it's not like as if I want to bill you for all the money that I used to do that, but and let's not even calculate trainings. So I mean, last year I spent over, and people still don't believe it, right? I spent about $4,000 on trainings last year. I was about to say the amount in naira, but I just changed my mind. Now let me say it in dollars. Yeah, I spent around $4,000 on trainings. Yeah, on trainings, animation trainings, audiobook trainings, narration, like everything. I'm just sharpening my skills and exposing myself to international voice actors as well. So, I mean,
after
it's like I know how much I've spent on my craft. So
Sarah, after this podcast, I will come and enroll so that you train me personally.
So that's why when sometimes people are like, "Oh, I want you to train me. How much will you charge?" I'm like,
Nah,
I cannot charge you. I swear, I can't. Because I just can't.
I get you. Absolutely. The thing is that, Sarah, our realities are, for Nigeria and in Nigeria is really different from what's going on in the Western world. And it's not because of we, the voice actors, it's just the way the economy is. If we look at the way things are in the well organized, it's not like they also have it all figured out. They are still trying to improve on many things. But for us, we have to like beat down prices that if white guys or Westerners hear what we charge for certain things, they'll be like,
you
really?
mean that is what you charge? It's ridiculous.
We can't use our rate card here in Nigeria to get jobs.
Do you know it was even late last year that I really started charging for usage? Before, I used to be so scared of actually telling you that, look, if you actually want to use this thing again next year, this is how much you'd have to pay. Because, but at some point...
You mean in Nigeria, right?
Yeah, in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because it now became a thing. Sorry, don't worry, go on.
Most Nigerian clients are not educated about these things, Seth. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The agencies that are supposed to understand and know these things, some of them are not really working in our best interests, right? It's what favors them that they really want to do. And especially when the voiceover artists themselves don't even understand usage. Like, how do you then implement such? So there's a lot of repair that needs to happen. There are certain things we can't control, like the economy, we can't control it. Like I said, I don't know if it was on the podcast or in another voiceover meeting, the rate card that we use in Nigeria right now was done in December, launched in December 2023. This is November 2024. Between that time and now, our economy, like the naira has, like, I think at the time it was maybe around 700-ish. Now we're at 1,700 to $1. And it is still the same 100K, 150K for a 1-minute commercial on radio that was on then, that is still there. Meaning that 100K at the time is now like maybe like,
and I know why a lot of people are always saying, so how does that one now impact your craft? I'm like, hello, look around. Do you still pay the same amount you used to pay for electricity? Just to pay
For
this, like,
food, for
you know,
bills.
and running a studio, I have clients, I have clients that come down and say, this price is too much for an hour. And I'm like, first of all, that's a very fair price if compared to other studios and what they charge. Let's start there. That's one. Then two, if anything, we should be considering an increase in rates because electricity is crazy, and the way we prep for our clients is 30 minutes to an hour before you come into the studio, because in order to reduce noise, the AC has to be turned off. So 30 minutes to an hour before you come in for your session, we've already turned the place into a freezer on your behalf so that you are very, very okay throughout your session,
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know how much it costs in units to leave the electricity, to leave AC on for that long in this economy? And even when you're done, we make sure you're comfortable, turn on, and the cost of electricity is just so insane. And it's just like when people say all these things, I'm like, look at the cost of living and everything. You don't think it impacted the business as well? It did. We're living in the same conditions as you, so the way it's affecting you is the way it's affecting me too. And you just have to find a way to explain to your clients that if you'd really like me to keep serving you at the capacity that I currently am, these changes need to be effected, and we can find a middle ground. But yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah. It's a lot we're going through, but shout out to you two. Shout out to Talk Studios.
Thank you.
One of the communities that I belong to, voiceover communities, they were literally asking for a voiceover studio in Abuja, and before I could even go and type Talk Studios, somebody had already typed Talk Studios, and I was like, "Yay!"
Wow. Yay!
So you guys are doing well. And then the person said,
Thank
"Oh,
you.
I've heard of Talk Studios. Like the service was really incredible or something like that. So I know you're doing well.
Aw,
Shout out.
I'm glad. So I mean, there we go.
Yeah, we've had a long conversation. We could go on and on because this is our reality, right? And guys, this is what the Everything Voiceovers podcast is all about: sharing the realities of African voiceover artists. We are Nigerians, and that's why it's easy for us to talk about our own realities. In coming seasons, we promise to reach out to more African countries, hear what's going on over there, and share their stories as well. We started this episode thinking we're going to be talking about animation voiceovers.
Yeah, honestly.
But, the struggles surviving Nigeria happened to us again, and Ace Wonders was unable to really be a part of the episode, really. But then we hope you really enjoyed this one. You learned a lot. We look forward to bringing Ace Wonders on another episode again, so we get to talk
Me
about
too.
the voiceover industry and the animation industry, the intersection, and all of that. Yeah, it's been a great one. Thank you so much for listening. Sarah, you've got any last words before we call this a wrap?
Yeah, I mean, I know everything we've said today just seems like a whole lot, but I assure you that everything will fall into place. And if you know you really want to do this thing, just chuck your neck inside, put all your egg. Don't put all your eggs in the basket, but you get me. Put all your efforts, put your best foot forward, and I promise it'll all work out. Yeah, so keep doing your thing and don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Sarah and I did not start from the top. We also started somewhere. We also did not have money. She was saving. I was also saving. I didn't even talk about my own story, but then, of course, I think I must have said it some other episodes. But the point is just that just start somewhere, keep pushing, keep building. You're definitely going to get there. Shout out to everybody doing something for our industry to see it move to bigger places. I hear of the Voiceover Connect conference coming up in December in Port Harcourt. A shout out to what's his name again? I'm gonna remember his name, but shout out to him. He's doing big stuff over there in Port Harcourt. And every other person doing stuff. The VO Fireside Chat continues. The VO Fireside Chat will be happening by Friday this week. and of course, you're listening to this on a Friday. The day it comes out is on a Friday. So this week's episode will be featuring Stephanie Obey, Jamal Dean, and Charles Alade. And we'll be talking about indigenous voiceover in Nigeria. Does it really pay? We want to explore everything about it. So I'm inviting you guys to be a part of that. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast. It's been a great time with me and Sarah talking about our industry. Okay.
Yes.
See you next
Until
week.
next time. Bye.
Great time enjoying and listening and doing voiceovers. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.